Welcome back to the third Saturday in October, your SEC water cooler podcast for the rest of us. Find us online at thirdsaturdayinoctober.com, on social media and Venmo at TSIO Pod. I am Bradley, here sporting a brand new Tennessee t-shirt sent to me courtesy of my co-host, Mr. Jared. How are you, Jared?
I'm a listener of the show and I'm a fan, and this was one way for me to support. And what if others want to support, Bradley?
Find us on Venmo at TSIO Pod. Send
Yes.
us some t-shirt money.
Yeah.
Email us, get in touch with us, and we can
And there
send you.
might be a buy me a coffee link coming
Yeah,
up soon.
yeah.
Yeah.
That is in the works. So, um,
Who knew?
yeah, we'll
So
be setting that up because we love the support, and we we're trying to support our teams through.
I want to say this about your t-shirt really quick before we
Yeah.
get into this is I want the fans to see the chin of the football player. And this was one of the first things that Bradley messaged me about was he had great pride in that chin. So it wasn't that it was soft, although he has admitted it is a soft t-shirt,
Oh,
or any of the other things. He the first thing he mentioned was the chin.
yeah, it is so soft, and I looked it because Jared said I saw it, and it reminded me
It
of you,
it
and you had to have
totally
it,
did.
and I said
Yeah.
it's the chin, and but um no,
Well
I
said.
thank you, sir. This is being worn with pride
Yeah,
today
I
and
yeah, I
many
want
days in the
multiple
future.
days, no washing. Yeah, I want stench and wife threatening to leave,
So
wear. So
so um I had there's a picture of me and a poem somewhere. Um I
as
don't
there should be.
I don't know why this happened. Um my dad, who went to the University of Tennessee, went part of the School of Architecture, had this um old shirt, like kind of crop top, like the guys would wear under football pads
Mhm.
back in the day. And it just said Vols across the chest. When I was in Little League, this would have been when I was 7 and 8 years old. I found that thing and I wore it underneath my Dodger blue jersey every game. And I mean, because the sleeves were just a little bit longer, they stuck out
Yeah,
underneath,
that's awesome.
and it was way too big, but I crammed it underneath that jersey. And one of the moms wrote a poem and kind of did this thing. Um, it was like
Oh,
the
that's
boy with
greatness.
orange sleeves or something like that. So and I mean it was my lucky shirt. So I
Yeah.
had to wear it every game. But
Well, good choice.
this may have taken its place.
Well, I don't know that it deserves that, but it might in time. So,
So
and
uh,
after the tumultuous week plus 2 weeks of
yeah,
Tennessee news, it's nice to have, something to remind you of the good old days and what's to come.
yeah. So Nico is now UCLA Bruin,
I know. Mm,
making um
less.
yeah, a lot less. Um then
I wonder if the UCLA fans are actually happy that this is happening.
yeah, I mean, who knows?
Is there such thing as UCLA fans? I don't even know. Like,
Basketball fans.
yeah,
Um
basketball fans, sure.
I don't know if they got any football fans. Um
Auburn's Chad Baker Mazar just transferred to LA, but the other school in LA, USC. So he's going to be at USC next season.
yeah. So then basically UCLA sends their quarterback who had just transferred in from
Well,
App
they didn't
State.
exactly send, but yes.
Um, uh,
I don't like it when people are like, "Hey, it's a trade." It's like, no,
yeah,
that's not exactly the way it went down, but fair enough.
no, no, not at all. But they get from App State via UCLA Aguilar, who posted some really good numbers at App State. Um, And so
I love that for Tennessee, by the way. I think
yeah,
it may not answer every problem, but it definitely solves some. You need someone to manage the game. I think he's capable of doing that, and that potentially saves, you know, a couple close games, I think.
yeah.
So
I mean, I think UCLA, I think is like a 6.5 win team, according to the people who bet on these things.
they
Um,
have a fairly easy schedule too, so that's interesting to me.
yeah. Um, Tennessee, I think, is still hovering 8.5, 9.5 wins. Um,
I, you know what? If they get 8 or 9 wins, I think that there is no Tennessee fan that should be disappointed with that.
I believe it was Josh Pate who said, um, what's the worst case scenario for
Well,
Tennessee
worst
this
case
year?
is like 4 wins, like
It,
Auburn.
it's missing a bowl game. Um,
Okay, well that happened. That's happened to Auburn. So
yeah,
Auburn did not make a bowl game this past year, and it's not fun.
yeah.
So yeah.
It yeah, Tennessee is up there with the best of most trips to the postseason. Um, but I mean, what he was saying is it's going to be hard, it's going to be hard to only get um 5 wins or less this year. Um, but I think Tennessee fans are going to be happy with anything more than um bowl eligibility. So I mean, Heupel and company are kind of playing with house money. It feels like, um, or are they playing with NIL money? I'll I'll let you
Well, I
decide.
mean, it might be a little both.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And what I've really been impressed with, and I think we may have mentioned this, um, uh, kind of as we were starting the season, just talking about who we lost. I've been really impressed with how Josh Heupel has held on to key players.
Hmm.
Um, we've lost a few to the portal. Um, Nico being the first one who really had any significant role on the team to transfer out. Um, and I think that speaks to the culture that he's building and also what he's selling when he and his recruiting team are going out on the road. Um, it's something that you saw with Nick Saban for a long time, how he was able to just stockpile 5-star blue chip talent and have them sit for 3 years and then have an outstanding senior season when he's finally developed them to the point of, okay, I'm ready to unleash you on the world for one spectacular season, and then you go get drafted.
Yep.
Um, so I think Heupel. Well, we did have
I felt like you just described Arch Manning, by the way, but go ahead.
yeah, uh, and I think Arch has had one a good head on his shoulders, two great a great advisory council between his dad, his grandfather, and his two uncles, saying, "Hey, go go to the place where you think you are going to be best developed." Um, and uh, I'm trying to remember was Cutcliffe at Ole Miss when Eli was there?
He was.
Um, I mean, Peyton went to Tennessee for David Cutcliffe. Eli went to Ole Miss for David Cutcliffe. It'd be interesting to know, would Eli have gone to Ole Miss if Cutcliffe hadn't been there? Um,
Um, I'm gonna lean towards no.
um, then Arch goes to Texas because he knows Sark is going to develop him to make him the best possible, um, going into uh, going into the NFL draft. So
Yeah.
we'll see how that kind
Yeah,
of
I'm looking
materializes
forward to
this year.
seeing how Arch plays this year. So I'm not rooting for him, but I'm kind of happy for him, if that makes
Yeah,
sense. I feel like he's shown a little humility. He's kind of waited his time. He's not been a diva. Maybe he has, but not publicly.
yeah.
So yeah.
No, I think if I mean anybody could transfer and get anything they wanted, it would be Arch.
Oh
And
yeah,
he's
he
like,
could
no,
have done that.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna sit here. I'm going to develop. I'm gonna wait my turn. And Ewers wants to come back. Uh, this was last year. Ewers wants to come back for another year. Fine. I'll just take this time to develop and get even better.
Well, speaking of, yours fell pretty hard in the draft. I'm wondering if he's rethinking that decision. Did he
um,
have another year? Or could he have squeezed another year? I
I
wonder
don't
if
I don't think so.
yeah. Seems like these days you can find a
Both
year
he and
somewhere.
Sador Sanders. Um,
Well, but so you could argue yours fell harder than Sanders, although Sanders is more visible, more public, and more pompous, so his fall was pretty noted. And
but
you could argue that that was kind of a good call by the
yeah,
teams that made those choices. But Cleveland took a chance on him, and so he's got his chance. He's getting now it's his opportunity to prove everybody that they're wrong. But if he
yeah.
doesn't, then
Well, I mean,
he'll be the
just about
highest paid positions coach at Colorado, right?
yeah.
So
Um, I mean, just about everybody on Sports Talk Radio in Nashville was talking about Sanders would be the second quarterback off the board, and
not even close. Yeah,
not
Jack was Jackson, wasn't it? Jackson was second.
yeah, Jackson
Yeah,
Dart.
to New York. Yeah, you know what? I thought that was a good pick actually. I thought that
Yeah,
was smart.
yeah.
So.
I think in uh
Hmm.
all
We
the
got to talk about
graphics
your Titans, man. Your Titans. You got Cam Ward. You
got
got how you
Cam
feeling
Ward
about
number
that?
one overall. The
Are you happy about that? I think that was a good pick.
I think it was a good pick. I think that was the best pick they can make.
To me, out
Sorry,
of all the quarterbacks in this class, Cam Ward to me was the NFL starter. So
yeah.
that's my. I mean, he was fantastic at both stops, and I still can't believe Miami didn't make the playoffs, but you know, I can't pin that on Cam Ward.
Yeah,
So yeah,
yeah. Um,
I think he should have won the Heisman personally, but whatever.
yeah, I think the Titans did a fantastic job um getting some added picks too in the draft. Um,
Yeah.
they
No, Tennessee had a good draft, it seemed like.
uh
So,
I would have liked to see him take a receiver a little bit earlier.
hmm,
Um, we got two receivers. I've kind of been checked out of the Titans. Not
yeah,
been a big fan of um really just the front office and how they've
yeah,
uh staffed their team, staffed their roster. But uh
understood.
um happy for this draft. We'll see what happens to Will
Oh,
Levis.
yeah, we will.
Because um yeah, Will, he is fighting for a roster spot at this point. Um and
What's your prediction on that?
um honestly, I thought that uh he would have been traded.
Hmm,
Um but I guess the market wasn't there.
yeah,
So
fascinating.
on on a rookie contract, maybe we keep him as a backup.
Hmm,
Um, maybe we cut him loose. I'm not sure, but I think that um, Brian Callahan and his staff have chosen their quarterback. They came in and did what they could with Will Levis, and that experiment just uh, was not as successful as anyone hoped. So we're moving on. I do think that um, I don't know if Brian Callahan is coaching for his job this season. Um, but it was. I think a lot of Titans fans expected more um, after moving on from Mike Vrabel, who's now in um, now in New England, back home in New England. So um, I don't know. I was not real happy with how um, just seeing how the Titans played, finished some games this last season. Um,
Let's flip back to the Vols temporarily. Was there a
yeah.
Vol that got drafted that you were happy for? I'm sure you're happy for all of them, but anyone that stuck out?
Um, James Pierce Jr.
Yep.
Um, went in the first round. Happy for that. Um, I got some sort of cough. I don't know what allergies are going around, but um,
Well, I mean, I felt the same way for even though we only had him for a year. We had a 1 year rental in Keandre Lambert Smith, who was a wide receiver, and he got drafted by the Rams. And
yeah,
there was a part of me that was, hey man, I'm gonna be cheering for you, dude. Go get it.
yeah.
So,
Glad to see um Dylan Sampson get picked up. Um,
hmm yep.
uh, Omar Norman Lott.
Dylan Sampson could be an NFL running back.
Oh yeah.
So,
Um,
yeah, that was a good pick.
there were a lot of scouts who were really high on him because though he's a little bit smaller,
Hmm
he's not afraid to uh take and deliver licks, and is a true home run threat anytime he touches the ball. Um, I'm trying to think who is um there was another defensive tackle that got drafted. Um,
That was from Tennessee.
yeah, I think
Let's take a
that
look
the
here.
Chiefs may have taken um two Tennessee players. Um, but I was
You got the Chiefs defensive tackle, Omar Norman Lott.
I think I thought they took someone else as well.
Um,
Uh,
James
th
Pierce was drafted by the Falcons.
yep,
It's an edge. Dante Thornton, Dylan Sampson, as you mentioned, Browns. He's going to be there with your buddy Shador.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah,
Dante Thornton going to the Raiders. Dante Thornton is one of the faster receivers um in the draft. Uh, I was kind of surprised that Cooper Mays, our center, um,
he's
didn't.
an undrafted signee though, right? He's signed with somebody. No,
I'm sure he did. I didn't pay attention
pretty
to
sure he did.
post draft signings, but he missed a couple of games at the beginning of this last season. Um, I think he had a hernia, and had surgery to repair a hernia. Um, but pretty, I, I heard that some, excuse me,
Yep.
um, some were a little worried about that, but I I don't know. I mean, I think you're kind of nitpicking if that's the kind of durability that you're worried about. Um, he he helped he helped that line. Tennessee's offensive line was substantially better with him in the lineup. Um,
All right, I got a list here. I got Will Brooks. He used to be a walk-on.
yeah, that
Elijah Young. They're both with Kansas City.
will
Uh,
yeah.
Amari
Will Brooks
Thomas.
surprised me.
Yeah.
Um, just him being a walk on, and he played well.
Yep.
Um, but just I was surprised, pleasantly surprised. But surprised nonetheless.
Amari Thomas signed with New Orleans, and
The,
Elijah Simmons with Arizona Cardinals. So,
yes. So
so yeah, you had some good players. Although they didn't get drafted, they did sign.
yeah.
So good. I think that says a lot about Tennessee's recruiting overall and Heupel's job there, bringing in that kind of talent that ultimately is potentially making NFL rosters or getting drafted in the first couple rounds.
And,
That's really a good sign for Tennessee fans.
and look at all those defensive players.
Yep.
Um,
I mean, Tennessee's defense is,
and,
certainly one of the things that has made
and
this
that
team what it is.
I
So,
mean that was the talk of the season for Tennessee is
hmm
look how good this defense is. Um, a Josh Heupel defense. Who would have thought we'd be talking about that?
yeah,
But
I
here we are.
honestly, I didn't talk about this much with you, but I suspected your defensive coordinator might get poached.
Yeah,
So, um, not that I'm wishing that on Tennessee, but
yeah. No, Tim Banks, his days at Tennessee are numbered simply because
there's likely to be other schools that come calling,
he
and
has done a fantastic job
yeah,
um, taking a defense that was awful when he got there. Uh, Arguably got worse because you've got this Tennessee team that moves so fast that the other team has a lot of plays to run on offense. And so just just trying to have enough bodies and have good enough conditioning to be a stellar defense was a tall task, but dang, did he overachieve, especially this last year. Being able to have all the bodies that he did on the defensive line, on the defensive line, again, that's being able to stockpile talent and hang on to it. And um, while we've got to reload because that's a lot of defensive line talent to the draft and to the NFL in total, Tennessee's defensive line is still going to be one of the stronger areas of this football team. Um,
I agree. Yep,
and I'm pretty excited about that.
you should be. Let's push it over to baseball a little bit. What do you think?
Yeah.
So something that where everybody's on the up and up and optimistic and nothing to be concerned about. You
No.
know,
Uh, Other than Tennessee dropped yet another series, this is their third
I'm
SEC
yeah,
series.
I'm confused, Bradley. I need you to break this down for me because I this is the Tennessee that started out so white hot
Yeah.
that you didn't even think you're going to be able to score on them, much less beat them. And
Yeah.
I'm I'm having trouble with this one.
And let me preface this with something as well. Uh, Tennessee's home games at Lindsey Nelson Stadium are played in a small ballpark. What does that mean? That means a lot of opportunities for home runs.
Yes,
And so some people would say, well, their numbers early in the season when they're playing a lot of home games are inflated. And while the scores may be higher, my argument is, well, okay, so it's a short porch, but it's a short porch for the other team too. And um, you're still seeing Tennessee crank out home runs um, when they're going to bigger ballparks. So um, I don't think it's just playing in other ballparks like they were this weekend at LSU. Um, Tennessee had um, a midweek game at home against Lipscomb. Um, they won that. I believe that was 11-2. Then traveled to Baton Rouge to take on number 7 LSU. Tennessee went into the weekend ranked number 6, LSU number 7. Um, lost lost the first game. Um, and lost it terribly. As I as much like the Tennessee baseball team, I'm dropping my cough drops. Um, so
Yep.
Tennessee has a 3-0 lead I didn't get to watch all this game, but I watched the very end of it, which is probably why they lost. Jared, we were talking about this before we started recording, that when we turn on the game and our team starts doing worse, then it's us that did it.
Yeah,
Um,
that's me. That's so me.
I turn on the game. Tennessee's got a 3-0 lead in the bottom of the ninth, and um, it all fell apart. Uh, 3 runs score, so it's a tie ball game. So um, it's a tie ball game. Two runners on base, and LSU hits a walk off 3-run home run to win 6-3 after they were down 3-0 going into the very last at bat. Um, what I saw was um, and there were two errors in that inning. So I think they got one out with one out or no outs. Ground ball to third base. Third baseman bobbles it and makes a bad throw to first. Um, then I, maybe that was the first batter, and then a strikeout, and then um, the third batter of the inning hits it to third. Again, another error by the third baseman, and this is something that Tony Vitello talked about in the series against Kentucky. Talked about again this weekend is guys just playing tight. Um, especially with quarterbacks, you hear about this in football. They're it's like they're thinking too much and they're not just letting their instincts take over. This happens in baseball quite a lot, where especially if you bobble the ball, you rush everything instead of just trusting your arm strength to get it there, and it not errors pile up, but uh, errors can pile up, but it's just it gets you out of rhythm. You're trying to force too many things, and you're not trusting your muscle memory and your ability. And that's what I saw um, in the first and last game against LSU. The middle game, Tennessee won 9-3. And it's like, okay, they shook off the first game, um, and came back. That first game was also like a 3 or 4 hour weather delay. It finished at like 1:30 in the morning Central Time, and Tennessee's in Eastern Time Zone, so 2:30 to those players internal clocks. Uh, so for them to bounce back the way they did the next day was impressive. It's like, okay, they can take this third game, and then lost, got run ruled in 8 innings. Uh, so they obviously didn't bounce back enough. I think this is some the the learning of young players who are asked to contribute as part of it. I think also you're seeing um, not necessarily younger guys, but guys who haven't played the pivotal roles, um, just kind of buckling under the pressure a little bit. Um, you would think that the guys that are coming to Knoxville to play baseball after the 5 years that of success that we've had um, would understand that, hey, there's going to be pressure. Um, but I think just the sheer number of new faces you see starting, I think it's two returning position players, starters from last year's team. Um, that that's a lot of production to replace. So it's just guys are being playing too tight. Um, and they're not trusting themselves. There's a reason that they got recruited to Tennessee. Just go do it because we know that you'll be fine if you just take a deep breath and play loose. That's my take.
Well, good take. Auburn is coming to town, dude. Auburn and Tennessee have a little battle, a
Yeah.
little series coming up, and if I didn't have plans, I would hit you up and say, let's hop in the wagon and go to a game. So,
Yeah. Should be a good series because Auburn's playing well at the
yeah.
moment.
They did
Um,
win a series this past weekend against Mississippi State, although the one game I did watch, they got spanked. Hence me being afraid to watch the rest of the games. So,
so so t tell me what intrigues you about college baseball because I know you were kind of like, well, I guess I'll get into this because um, we're going to be talking a little more college baseball, but tell me your level of baseball fandom, and then as someone who has not watched college baseball on a regular basis, what it's like watching college baseball.
well, okay. So first thing is, you're right. I have not been a traditional baseball fan, whether that's major league or college, just since I was young. And it's not really that I didn't ever like baseball, because there was a part of me when I was young that loved baseball. So I don't know exactly at what point did I start to lose that interest, but getting back into it this season's been fun because I've found a couple of other podcasts that I've enjoyed listening to. There's a very specific Auburn baseball podcast I listen to called The Barn, and a couple of the guys, and a former player, they kind of talk through the upcoming series or what just happened, and so I've gotten more familiar with the team that way, and I don't completely understand the polling for baseball, even though you and I have briefly discussed it on this show. I'm still wrapping my head around that. That said, there is something special about this Auburn team. They're not perfect. Do I predict them to be in the World Series? I would not say so. I do think that they will make a run in the playoffs. They might even host a team regionally. Um, I think they could be that good. Where that goes beyond that, I'm not holding my breath. But I have enjoyed watching this team, and I'm still getting to know them. And it's odd to me how we just wrapped up talking about college men's basketball and how fun that was, and now it's like we're maybe a week or two away from baseball being going into the postseason. I'm already wrapping my head around that. I'm like, what? How did baseball fly by so fast?
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, and then I'm like kind of sad because it's like, well, what happens when baseball ends? It's like we got to wait, all these summer months
Yeah.
for football. But I'm sure we'll have plenty to, you know, uh, consider as we ramp up for that. And I'm even hopeful that you're going to get a TSIO on the road recording this upcoming season from a game. So no promises, but it is something that I intend to nag Bradley about. So
Yes. It would be fantastic, and we will work on that. By the way, Auburn currently ranked in the D1 baseball poll, number 10, two ahead of
I mean that
host
that
Tennessee.
that to me is encouraging. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Um, by the way, we'll just run through the top 25 SEC teams.
yes.
Sorry, Texas at one. LSU jumped from seven all the way to two this week. Um, then you've got Georgia at nine, Auburn at 10, Arkansas at 11, Tennessee at 12, Vanderbilt at 15, um, and Alabama at 18. Oklahoma. I forget Oklahoma's in the
I,
SEC.
I mean that's what I call domination of a conference in a sport.
Yeah.
I mean, you just
O
is there room?
Oklahoma at 21, Ole Miss at 23.
Is there room for other schools in that? I mean, that's fantastic. That tells
Very.
you how good SEC baseball is and why people should be paying attention. So,
So,
uh,
so um, I one of the things that's tough to watch about baseball, is there's a lot of little things. Um, knowing knowing a hitter's tendencies and
Mhm.
knowing how to pitch around those tendencies with different types of pitches, different pitch locations, um, knowing which pitchers and which catchers you can steal bases on because some pitchers, um, they when there's a runner at first, they it's called kind of a slide step where their front foot doesn't come up very high off the ground as it goes towards home, and others who lift their leg up high, and guys who lift their leg up high also sometimes vary it up where maybe they don't lift their leg high and try to get the pitch going towards home plate faster. Um, there's but all this you've got to think about, and the more you know about those things, the more fun it is to watch. Um, and one of the fun things about college baseball is because they do use metal bats, the ball goes further and there's a lot more scoring. Um, so if you want baseball with a lot of scoring, watch college baseball because in some ways it's
Yeah, there's some games you see 17 runs. It's like, what?
yeah. I mean in some ways it's a home run derby.
Yeah.
It's kind of like wiffle ball, but uh
That's
uh
actually a decent analogy. I like that.
but it's really fun because also these are still kids. I mean, they're sometimes 18, 19 years old,
Yeah.
um, playing, and also some of these 18 and 19-year-olds are just huge. Um,
Yeah. They
but
are hulking super teens.
yeah, but it's as someone who played a lot of baseball, all the way through my senior year of high school, um, has just really loved the game. Unfortunately, I somehow have tortured myself because I'm a White Sox fan, and last year they were one of the worst teams. If I can't remember, they may have been the worst team in history. Um,
Was it you that told me there's talk of possibly the White Sox coming down to Nashville? Is that a
yes,
thing?
yeah, yeah. So, um, let me grab from my jersey stash.
Ah, we are in the moment where we're seeing Bradley grab his White Sox jersey. Oh, the Nashville Stars.
The
Is that
Nashville Stars. Like this is a friend got this for me. But the group that is trying to get a major league team to Nashville, um, like they've proposed this name, the Nashville Stars, as in rock stars, country
yeah,
music
country
stars.
stars, yeah, music stars, yeah.
Um, and
Actually, that's a great name for a baseball team.
it, it, it is
Yeah.
it is if the White Sox currently do not have many stars on their team,
I
but
don't think the White Sox would change their name. It's so iconic. Do you think they would do that?
right, I
I
don't.
mean, I wouldn't. I'm not a fan, so it wouldn't bother me. But I think there'd be some purists that would hate that.
I
Uh,
agree.
I'd be like the A's changing
But
their name, or like that'd be
um,
like the Cleveland Guardians. I mean, who would do that?
well,
Oh,
it's
sorry.
it's like the Houston Oilers, the team.
Well, Tennessee Oilers. That kind of
Yeah,
yeah,
but the team that
yeah. That was an
started
iconic name. You're right. Yeah.
the team that started the AFL, to rival the NFL, moved out of Houston and changed their name.
I just assumed the Texans would be called the Oilers, so when they weren't, I was surprised.
Yeah, history lesson that I recently learned when Bud Adams got approval to move the team, he said, "I want to." Part of the agreement was he would retain the rights to the Oilers. So that's why
Ah,
the Titans can wear the Houston Oilers throwbacks.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
because the Oiler history
History
moved
is
with
in
them.
the Titans. Yeah.
Um,
It's still kind of sad to not have an Oilers team, but yeah, fair enough.
yeah.
Because the Cleveland Browns, what they moved and they got a franchise, a new franchise, and they were able to name their team the Browns.
Yeah.
Even though the Browns went to what, Baltimore, right? The Ravens used to be the Browns. So that's
Yeah.
kind of a weird thing. But
Yeah. Well, the Colts used to be in Baltimore.
ah,
Um,
that's true. I forgot about
uh,
that. So yeah, there's been some moving around. So if the White Sox did move to Nashville and they changed their name to Stars, I would imagine that would make you happy. Is that true?
yeah. Because like growing up, the Cowboys were America's team. Um,
Hmm.
then I learned about Brett Favre. It's like, okay, I'm a Packers fan.
Oh,
Then uh, Mike Allstott played for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I was like, uh, well,
sign me up. Yep.
there there's a white running back. That's it. Just the way he played. It's like I want to be like him. Um, so I didn't necessarily have team allegiances as much as I like Brett Favre. I like Mike Allstott. I loved Emmitt Smith.
Yeah,
Um,
Emmett Smith, big fan. Yep.
it's like okay, I love these personalities, so I'm gonna follow them more than the team. And then when the Titans finally moved to Nashville, because they were in Memphis at first. Uh, when they were in Memphis, I think they were Tennessee Oilers. Uh, Even when they played at Vanderbilt's football stadium, I think they were still the Oilers. And then they announced the new team name, the Titans, unveiled the new uniforms, and opened the new stadium. And when they became the Titans, I was all in, and everything else just kind of fell away. So if we get another team that's not the White Sox, I think I don't think it'd be that hard to give up my White Sox allegiance. Um, as it stands now. But if the White Sox did move here, it makes it just that much easier to be a Nashville Stars fan. I I'm gonna be interested to see if Nashville and Tennessee can support a Major League Baseball team. One of the hard things to do is you've you've got 162 games that you've got to put butts in seats, and uh, if you get a team like the White Sox who don't have a great product on the field, it's gonna be tough sledding for that organization. You see the Titans struggling a little bit, even with um, a new stadium on the way. Um, the Preds, even though they haven't been doing great, still get really good crowds. Uh, but that's a lot smaller. That's 18,000. Um, I don't know where they put a baseball stadium. I think it would be kind of in the vicinity of the Titans' new stadium, but um, that would take some urban planning definitely to figure out
So they
where.
they wouldn't just take the AAA team there and just kind of redo their stadium. They would do something brand new.
No, I mean it's that stadium's way too small.
It is small, but there's a charm to small stadiums like Wrigley and
Yeah.
Fenway.
So uh let's see what um
I honestly don't have a problem with small Major League Baseball stadiums. I almost wish they were more that weren't as big because the opportunity to see a big team play in a small stadium like that, I've had a few chances to do it, and every time I have, it's always been something I enjoyed. And so I don't know. I understand why Major League Baseball wants these massive stadiums, but if they're not fully packed and the city isn't fully supporting the team, hence Miami. The
yeah.
Marlins is a great example of this. A smaller stadium, I think, is you know, a cool experience, but that's just me.
so the White Sox rate
Maybe that's another
field.
reason why I like college baseball. I'm getting
Yeah,
into it because these stadiums are not like you said. Tennessee Stadium's not that big, but
yeah,
like there's a charm to Auburn's baseball stadium. I've kind of
yeah.
like, hey, I want to go to Auburn just to check out the baseball stadium, which I've never said in my entire life. But
I've been
they've
to a
revamped it.
handful
Yeah,
of Vanderbilt baseball games, and
yeah,
they've added to it, but um, it's very small. I've actually gotten to play on it. Fantastic field. Um,
that's cool.
Tennessee, I think, is around 4,000 at Lindsey Nelson. Um, where the Nashville Sounds, the AAA team play, their capacity is 10,000. Um, they that stadium is uh
That's more than twice the size of who's that of Tennessee.
yeah. Their stadium is cool. In right field, they've got, is it called the Sandbox?
I
It's a
haven't been inside the stadium there, but I have been to that little there's a brewery that's
yeah,
just right outside of it, and we had a meetup there for podcasters, and it was a blast. It was
yeah,
packed. It was packed, dude.
yeah. So
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 yeah,
it
I knew Tennessee support or Nashville supports their baseball team.
yeah,
So
they've got cornhole, they've got ping pong, they've
mm,
got like um two basketball goals where you can do like free throw competition against your friend. Um, there may be like a little putt course. Like there's a lot of stuff out there, and there's this bar, and it stays packed the entire game. What I like to do is actually watch the game, but I'll go to that bar because you can get a Jack Daniel's whiskey slushy, like a Jack and Coke, but it's a slushy. I'll get one of those and go back to my seat and enjoy the game. It's a blast. I
that
actually
is
went.
one way to enjoy a game.
I
That's
went with a company I used to work for. Our
mm,
department went to like a team building outing to a Sounds game, and we had a box and had food. And I said, "Y'all know about the whiskey slushies?" Like what? I was like, "Anybody want anybody want one?" Like I'm going. I'll be right back. And everybody was like, "No." I was like, "Okay." So I went and got one and came back. They were like, "You're serious?" I was like, "Yeah." And I don't drink much.
yeah.
But something
But
about
you know, when in Rome, I
yeah,
get it.
a
Yeah.
Jack and Coke slushy. How can you say no to that?
No, that's the
Um,
right thing to do, especially in Nashville.
yeah.
So,
So that it's a great atmosphere, but I love going and actually watching the game because it's AAA. You're getting to see some really good baseball. Um, but their capacity is 10,000. The White Sox rate field is 40,000. So that's the difference between AAA and major leagues. Is AAA is a fourth of the size of where the White Sox currently play, um, and how that stadium is situated. I don't know that you can really add that many seats to it. But I would be interested to see what kind of um, entertainment they do in that stadium because it's built fairly new. I can't remember how old it is. Less than 10 years old, I think. You've got the Titan Stadium. It's going to have a lot of entertainment options, kind of around um, the stadium. And what would you do at a baseball field? I know a lot of stadiums that are going through renovations or getting new stadiums are finding other ways than just putting seats in for fans to enjoy themselves while at a game because they really don't care if you go to the game and watch the game. They only care that you go through the gate and buy something from the concession stand. That's that's what that's what drives uh, the team owners, um, is that money. um, hitting the register. So um, I would be interested to see a Nashville baseball stadium because I think it would be awesome the way we did the draft. I heard multiple people, like national guys, say over the last couple weeks that Nashville still is the bar for drafts and how drafts should be done. Um, they said they've been covering drafts for 20 years and nothing compares to what Nashville was able to do. Um, and nobody's been able to replicate yet. So hopefully Nashville gets the draft back here in the next few years because that would be awesome again.
It would. It would. I still want to mention baseball real quickly. There is some chatter about the Tampa Bay Rays potentially moving to Orlando. And so
Yeah.
that's kind of what, in my mind, sparked part of the conversation with the Sox possibly relocating to Nashville. Was I've been seeing that the Tampa Bay Rays may have a serious option to move to Orlando, and I thought, well, that would be kind of cool. Personally, I think having the Rays in Orlando with a new stadium, I think Orlando's a tourist destination. I think Orlando typically supports their teams, like their MLS team and their, the Orlando Magic and the NBA. And I think the Rays in Orlando could actually thrive, especially if put the stadium right there, kind of in that international drive area of Orlando,
Yeah.
which is what the talk is. But there's a team that's led by Hall of Famer Barry Larkin. They're very serious about making a bid and trying to get a team to Orlando. It seems the Rays would be the most likely since they're having trouble with a stadium in
Yeah.
St. Pete or Tampa. So we might see this come to fruition, and I'm for it. I
Yeah.
hope it happens. Actually, I think it would make me more of a Rays fan. I'm certainly not a Rays fan currently because I've hated their stadium for years. Tropicana Field was just terrible.
Yeah.
And I went to one baseball game there and I said never again. Like this just ruins my interest in baseball. The stadium was so bad. Um, so that said, it's not all about the stadium because, like I said, Miami Marlins have a great stadium that
Yeah.
packs out for, these international baseball events. But if it's the Marlins, you can't, you know, they can't sell a seat. They can't give away a seat almost.
Yeah.
So it's
Well, and the sad thing is, like the Rays have put together some good teams,
yeah.
especially here lately,
Mhm.
and nobody's going. It's
Well,
not
yeah, well, I mean, well, now they're playing in the Yankees spring training facility, which is not a bad small stadium. I've been
right.
to it. So that's actually a good example of what we're talking about earlier is okay, if you want to see a Major League Baseball team play in a smaller stadium, go see a Rays game because
Yeah.
you're gonna see them play against the New York Yankees or whoever in a small stadium. That's a cool experience as a fan.
Yeah.
So, take advantage of it while you can.
Well,
When
well,
I saw the Rays play in Orlando, they played at the Disney Park there. They got that ESPN,
Wild World of
World.
Sports. Yeah.
They got that
It's
baseball stadium there, and the Rays played Kansas City Royals, I believe. And I felt when I was at that game, like this is what baseball is. Like this is what it's all about.
yeah.
Watching it at that game because it was small, and it was like, dude, this is what I remember when I was a kid. Like I don't know. Anyway, it was just a neat experience. So I'm a fan of that. I hope the Rays do move to Orlando.
Yeah.
So
Um the ESPN Wide World of Sports over at Disney is pretty awesome. When I was in
yeah,
high school, we would go down. I remember sophomore year, we played in Tampa, St. Pete, um, just played different schools all week. Then my junior and senior year, we actually went to a tournament in Orlando. It was played at Tinker Field, which is no longer there. It was a spring training facility, and it was in the shadows of the Citrus Bowl. And it was literally bulldozed to make, I think, renovations to the Citrus Bowl and more parking lot space. But biggest outfield I'd ever seen. I played against Billy Butler, who had a long career with the Royals and the Oakland Athletics, first baseman, uh, designated hitter. We were 2 outs away from beating his team. Um, I think to go to the championship is either to go to the championship game or in the championship game. and um, only needed 2 outs, and he hit a walk-off grand slam.
Huh.
Um, like just w- biggest field I've ever played on, and it hit way up on the scoreboard. It's just like that was a monster. And not long after that, he goes and gets drafted um,
Yeah, good
that
for him.
summer.
That's great.
It uh, but every time that we go down there, my head baseball coach was a big Braves fan, and the Braves at the time held their spring training at ESPN Wide World of Sports. So we would go check out a game on our day off, um, spring training game. And what's cool is the way that from where we parked to the main, like their uh, major league spring training field, you passed all their minor league spring training fields because they've got hundreds and hundreds of players that they're working out, and it's like the little league field where it's four fields together and it's just chain link fence, and all these guys have all their gear, and it doesn't all fit in the dugout, so they're actually having to come out onto the sidewalk to get their gear. And we're just walking down and talking to these guys who are
Hmm.
just a couple years out of college, maybe a little bit older, but trying to get a spot on any team, major league or minor league.
Yeah.
But it was really cool because talk about intimate atmosphere. It was it. I mean, they're bleachers like a church league softball game. And you could go talk to anybody you wanted to. Now you didn't know who any of these players were, but it was cool because they were older than us and still playing baseball. Um, and uh, as more teams have moved away from spring training in Florida, because a lot of them go to Arizona where you have the warm weather without all the rain, and you can kind of play without interruption a little bit better out there. Um, I hate to see some of that die in Central Florida, but
Do
but
you
I
think
think
that's what it'll end up being? Is just pretty much everybody will move out to Arizona, or maybe I don't. It'd be hard for me to believe, certain teams would do that because I know the Yankees are so rooted in Tampa.
yeah,
Um,
I think it'll kind of be team by team. I mean, I think as more move that way, it makes the teams that stay in Florida more valuable to Florida, and I think they will do more to incentivize teams staying in Florida. I don't know if as teams move, the Yankees get more incentives
and
to, hey, please stay.
I've never
Uh,
done a research on this, but how valuable is spring training baseball? From a make money perspective, is it? Yeah, I understand why they do it, but does it really make money? Does it make financial sense? I'm assuming it has to break even or they wouldn't do it.
yeah,
I don't know. I've never researched that, but I'd be curious to see what's the economic impact of,
I mean,
spring training baseball because it's
I
only a
kind of
limited window of time.
yeah, I feel like it's kind of just bonus money because um uh you know the NFL has three preseason games. Was four, now
Right.
it's three. Um, and they have these practices where the rival team that you're playing on Saturday comes in and they practice together all week. Um, Baseball, you practice a little bit, but then basically all your scrimmages have tickets for sale. Um, and so kind of like NFL has those open practices in preseason where fans can go and watch practice. That's basically what you're doing in spring training with Major League Baseball, except you're paying for a ticket.
Yeah.
Um, and you've got concessions, and it's that full experience. It's just at a different quote unquote home location, and you're not necessarily seeing, if you're the Yankees, Aaron Judge out there every day because he knows what he needs to do to get ready for the season. So he may only play a couple games right at the end of spring training, um, but you can kind of get a feel for who your next man up may be should somebody need to hit uh, the IL or something. Who's going to be called up, uh, and that's always fun to watch some of those videos on Instagram or YouTube of the guys getting called up who've put in all the work in the minors and get called up for an opportunity in the majors. But
Yeah,
uh,
that's awesome.
I I love spring training. Um, just to go. I mean, it's cheaper baseball, um, and it's still baseball. The the sounds. Um, I'll go to a couple of games every year there. Just because it's not expensive, uh, and it's a great way to spend a Friday night, Saturday afternoon. Um, and I love watching all the situations that people who sit next to me. If you want to learn about baseball, sit next to me. If you just want to sit and eat your
If you want to
nachos, your
enjoy
hot
the
dog,
game, go get your Jack and your frozen Jack, and
yeah,
yeah,
sit a few seats down.
got it.
Because uh I love breaking down, okay, what would I throw as a pitcher? What would I throw next? On the count. And I'm by no means the
I think
most
I would
knowledgeable
enjoy
about
that
baseball.
opportunity. I hope next season we get to go to a Tennessee baseball game.
Yeah.
I think that's a worthy endeavor.
Yeah.
This season was the establishing of the podcast, and now next season I think we get a road tour in for maybe a football game, a basketball game, and a baseball game. That would be a good goal. So
Ooh. Yeah, the trifecta.
yeah,
Yes.
do one of each. Try to do one of each if possible. So
Yeah. Well, it I could sit and talk about baseball. I've got a baseball in my hand and I love uh,
love it.
like for you watching it home, four seam fastball, two seam fastball, curveball, change up. Like I
How old
just
were you when you could throw a curveball?
I could never really throw a good curveball.
Yeah, because there's
Um,
arguments that young like middle school kids can throw curveballs. I'm like, is that true?
middle school, yeah. Um, earlier than that, I actually had a conversation with a guy I played baseball with in middle school. Um, I think we played together sixth or seventh grade. Who's a physical therapist, and we talked about when we were growing up. You did not see these middle school kids having Tommy John surgery and all sorts of surgeries from all the stress on their elbows.
That's
Um,
wild. Yeah.
but now some of it I think is trying to throw pitches too early. It's just overly competitive. But and I didn't have the right demeanor to pitch. Um, I, it wasn't for me. But on a good day, at a four seamer that tailed off one way, a two seamer that tailed off the other way, so I could throw a fastball and it moves different ways. And then I had a changeup that would get to home plate and just roll off the table. So it would get in the strike zone and then just fall out of it.
Nice.
Um, and so like I tried to run with those three pitches most of the time, um, but I didn't throw real hard. I didn't have a, a good curveball. Still working on that, and I was like, I want to give up. I just want to hit and play outfield. And so that's what I ended up doing. Um, my junior and senior year. But uh, I'm yeah, I could talk baseball all day, all night, and probably bore quite a few people. But we we won't do that here. We can
Well,
wrap it up. So
I let the record reflect that I've enjoyed this chat, so thank you.
Well, and we've got more baseball to talk about because there's still a lot of season left. Um, but you can find us. You know where to find us.
Yeah.
Online at thirdsaturdayinoctober.com, on social media at TSIO Pod, on Venmo at TSIO Pod, and other options to support the show coming very, very soon. Jared, thank you for kind of getting the college baseball bug.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
thank you for getting your Auburn Tigers in
there's no
gear.
turning back now. This is where we are. This is where it's going. So
Uh,
this is yeah.
you drank the Kool-Aid, and I promise it tastes good.
Yeah, that usually follows by death in the Congo, right? But but I'm right now I'm alive and happy and enjoying what is looking to be an exciting SEC filled postseason coming soon.
Yes, yes. The top 25 littered um, with SEC teams and SEC talent, and that's going to shape up to be quite a fun SEC tournament and um, regional, super regionals into the College World Series, which we'll get into how all that works in the future. But for
Yes.
now, heroes come in all sizes and roll Vols.
And War Eagle, and looking forward to Tennessee and Alabama in their series this coming weekend.
I hope you mean Tennessee and Auburn.
I'm sorry, Tennessee and Auburn. Yes.
That Freudian slip.
Freudian slip. I am absolutely looking forward to the Tennessee Auburn series this weekend. So
Can't wait.
Tailgate, man cave, living room, pregame, burgers, ribs, chicken wings, chip and dip,